Shabbat Shalom, everyone. As you see the mezuzah on the doorpost, it's like every other mezuzah, it's always placed diagonally. And the question is, why is every mezuzah placed diagonally? Now, there's a story told by Paul Harvey. He used to tell the story known as Now You Know the End of the Story. And he tells the story that in the late 1890s, there was a aunt and her nephew living side by side in New York City. They were both socialites. The nephew's name was William and the aunt's name was Caroline. And they were always feuding about their social status. And William would look out his window and see all these fancy coaches and important people showing up at his aunt's house, and he was very envious. So one day he decided to rip down his house and spend millions and millions of dollars to build the most magnificent hotel with hundreds of rooms. And now, once he built this hotel, it was the most luxurious hotel in New York City. The most beautiful coaches and carriages with the most important dignitaries were showing up at his hotel, outdoing his aunt's hotel. Well, his aunt didn't want to be outdone. So what did she do? She ripped down her New York house and built another magnificent hotel. And now these two hotels were competing with each other side by side, until the manager of one of the hotels brought them together and said, if you broke down a wall between your two magnificent hotels, you would literally have one of the most magnificent hotels in the world. And after convincing them to do that, they combined the two hotels, and Caroline Oster and William Waldorf joined hotels, and hence we know about the famous Waldorf Astoria, named after William Waldorf and his aunt Caroline Oster. This Shabbat we're going to bless the third month on the Jewish biblical calendar, which is the month of Sivan. Now, the fact that it's the third month is very significant, because the Talmud says God gave a threefold Torah, because the Torah has Torah, prophets, and scriptures, to a threefold nation. The Jewish people have Kohens, Levis, and Yisraels. Through a third child, there was Miriam, and then Aaron and Moses. In the third month, which is this month upcoming, Nisan, Iyar, and now Sivan is coming, after 3 days of the Jewish people surrounding the mountain. What's the significance of the number 3? And this is very special, actually, because this year, Shavuot, indeed, is going to be the 3,333rd anniversary of the giving of the Torah. So we have all these threes on this particular year. And the answer to the significance of the number 3 is that 1 and 2 can represent conflict, as two views or opinions or perspectives clash with one another. 3 represents the harmonization, the unification of the two through compromise and mutual respect and understanding. And therefore the Torah is all about bringing peace and harmony to the world, and therefore the Torah is signified with the number 3. And this is a very important lesson in today's day and age. Because of the pandemic, we would have thought that people would become closer and more united. But whether it's in the political or in the social arena, we're finding that it's causing so many conflicts amongst people, as there are different views about masks and vaccines and gatherings. And people are judging one another and criticizing one another and speaking unkindly and harshly to one another. And what we have to learn is that we have to find a way to speak to each other with empathy, with understanding, with respect, and avoid conflict by finding a mutual harmonizing path, one which can be a uniting force between all of us, especially during these days when we need to be together more than ever before. And that's the meaning of the mezuzah, which is always placed on an angle, because when you come into your home, you always have to remember there are multiple people living in the home, husband, wife, children. It's never my way or the highway or your way. It's always the middle path. There's a dispute in the Talmud, should a mezuzah be standing vertically or horizontally? And the two rabbis compromised and said, let's put it diagonally, to remind every person when they enter into a home or a room that you have to harmonize and work together with everyone in the room and find a way to avoid conflict at all costs, but rather find compromise and find that middle ground. Shabbat Shalom. May it be a good Shabbat and a good month ahead. And may we all celebrate the conclusion of the third book of the Torah, the Shabbat, by saying Chazak, Chazak, V'niz Chazek. Let us be strong and grow ever stronger.